Hi, I'm Matt Mulvaney, and this presentation is called Application Express, or APEX as it's known as. So APEX is evolving, focus on the new features. So I previously presented last year at WDI and was presenting about what is APEX and what it can do. And so this time I'm going to take it 1 year since then, and I'll explain how the new features work. Okay, so I work for Pretius. We're a team of over 100 IT experts, including over 40 Apex developers. And we offer outsourcing of remote teams. We can manage the whole project and the whole software development process. And we act globally, meaning all our customers are around the world. And we're based in our office in Warsaw, close to the airport. So we have a team of Apex experts. We're continually contributing to Apex community. In doing that, we have several Apex plugins which extend the functionality of Apex, and we also have launched the Translate Apex project, which gives you a head start in working with your translated applications. So last year, I presented this Gartner Magic Quadrant for Apex, in low code in general. And you can see the leaders, which in Gartner's opinion are out there with OutSystems and Mendix and Microsoft. Now, Oracle's position has remained since 1 year ago, but again, this is their opinion, and I don't think it'd be too long before we see Apex move out of the challengers and into the leaders quadrant. So Oracle have two low-code offerings. One is Apex, which is what this presentation is about, and the second one is Oracle Visual Builder Cloud Service as well, which really is about extending eFusion applications, and so there's lots of differences there from extending Fusion apps to building bespoke applications with Apex. So this is Apex here. This is the main window you see when you log in. You can build apps, you can edit the database, you can work with your team, or you can download pre-built applications. So the main page says you can build applications 20 times faster with 100% less code. And in these examples, I'll be showing you all the declarative features representing the new features. And for sure, you can build applications much, much faster with less code. So Apex has had a strong history since 2004. You've seen a release every single year until 18 came out, which represents 2018, where I'm expecting two results every year. And the latest release is 21.2, which came out in 2021. You can run Apex on the autonomous cloud. You can sign up for a free service, and you've got a autonomous database there. So you've got this self-healing, self-driving, self-running database. It comes in two flavors: one for high transactions, and the other one for data warehouse. You can also run it as a database cloud service, which is like an Apex dedicated area. You can run it anywhere the database runs, so on-premise or on your private cloud. It's free, or we like to say no cost. So it's free to download Apex, free to download ORDS, which is the middleware which goes between your browser and the database. You may need a database license. And again, you can run it cloud on-premise, or I like to run it on Docker, which is an official version, and there's a fan-made version. You'll see me on these demos running it on apex.oracle.com, which by all means feel free to sign up for an account that's free for demo and tutorials and learning and that kind of thing. Apex is used in tens of thousands of applications around the world. A big example is Aria People, which is a HR application for Oracle itself. So really, with inside Oracle, it runs on Apex. All the internal applications, or many of the internal applications, are running on Apex. Aria People has 46,000 users a day and 1.5 million page views a day, which is a testament to the robustness of ORDS and the scalability of Apex. You can also purchase from the Oracle store using an Apex application. Over the last, 2 years now, when we've had COVID-19, there's been at least 31 COVID-specific applications. We're building the web browser, and we deploy in the web browser, and all the users run in the web browser as well. And that could be on a mobile, it could be standalone desktop, it could be a tablet. And the people who can create Apex applications are database developers, front-end developers, web developers, database developers and citizen developers as well, which we're seeing more and more. So the new features in no particular order are REST enhancements, smart filters, which is the big key feature, email enhancements, static file editor, progressive web apps, and there's been some enhancements for progressive web apps, and also some maps enhancements as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go into the demo and go straight into Apex, and then we'll finish with the roadmap. So here we are in Apex. I'm going to create a new application. So I've got my option of new application from a file or a starter application, which is like a pre-built application. So I'm going to create my application in there. Two things I'm going to change. The Redwood Light theme, which is a modern theme, and the About page. So when I click Create Application, what it's doing now is interacting with the database, creating a series of pages that represent my application, and those pages will have some content on. So here are those pages there. I can go in and straight away edit them, or I can run my application, which opens up in a new web browser, and it wants to go to page one. Page one is authenticated, so I need to authenticate with the application, and it gives me the login page. And there we go. So the basics of an Apex application is a navigation, a breadcrumb, some content. I have none, and there's a footer at the bottom. And you can also have a navigation bar. Here's my About page, and here's my user details. So all this for free out of the box. So let's start with the first feature, which is the REST enhancements. So to do that, I'm going to go into shared components, which is setting things up for pages to use. If I go to REST data sources here, I can source some data on one I've pre-built, which is some employee information. So on purpose, I'm going to choose this simple HTTP, which means Apex knows nothing about this web URL apart from the name. So I'm going to call it emp, and here's my URL. In fact, so let's just load the URL up and we can see. So we can see some JSON representation of employees. So you can see all the way down, several employees, all fake data, by the way. It looks like there's a limit of 30 employees, and there could be more. The next page is there. Okay, so let's continue with the wizard. We'll just go next, finish. This is no authentication. The pagination we'll do later. So there's no authentication here. Let's discover. So the discover step is trying to find out more about the information. It's gone straight into the data source here, and you can see all the information on the screen. I'm happy with that. I'm going to create a REST data source, and then that's called emp. Great. Okay, so let's represent that data on page by using a type of report called, let's choose an interactive report. So on the body, I'm going to create a region. I'm going to call it employees and interactive report. And now not a database table, but a REST source. Which one? Emp. And you can see all the columns have come through here, and I can customize things further, just calling that one surname, for example. I'm going to save and run the page. That's done in a single click. And when the page reloads, you'll be able to see that I've got some data, and that's from my REST endpoint. So I'm okay with this. However, I've only got 30 rows there, but I know there's more than 30. So this is where the new feature comes in. So previously, I would have to do something clever like write a plugin, which is not an easy feat to navigate through all the pages, find all the data. So now I've got this pagination, and what Oracle Apex team did is they looked at many different web endpoints and saw patterns in pagination, and they've represented them here. So our one is page size and fetch offset. So the page size is, now I'm just going to look at the data. I know that one's called limit. It's looking for page size maximum. I don't have that one. The offset, I think that was called offset. Let's pick that. Rows to skip, where that starts at the offset or the offset plus 1. There has more rows selector. I did see that one. That's that one, has more. We should be good. So I just click apply, and then go back to here and hit F5 to refresh the page, and we'll see how many records we've got. 50. We've got more, and we can cycle through them all. Within the interactive report, you can search for somebody's name, like for example, Banda, and it brings you everyone called Abanda. And in fact, there's 2 Abandas there. Okay, so let's move on to the next point, where consider we've got these REST endpoints here, and we want to bundle them together in a kind of catalog, and that's what Apex gives you, a REST catalog. So to do that, I need to go right back to the builder level, right out of my application, and go into Workspace Utilities, because this is a type of level where it's no longer in the app, but a level above. It's a catalog at workspace level. So I'm going to create it here. It says create a catalog group first. Okay, so we need to group our catalogs in a group. So this is employees, so it's some kind of HR function. So yeah, let's call it that, HR function. Let's call it group, just to be absolutely clear that this is a group. Create that, and then next we can just start to create a catalog. Okay, so catalog in which group? This one, and let's call it employee. Yeah, call it emp. Yeah, emp will do. Put the description in there. So we can create it then, and we can see there's no services in our catalog. No problem. If we go to shared components now, and then we can go to the REST data source, we can click our REST data source and start to assign it to that catalog. And if I click here, this is the new feature. Save to a catalog. Which one? Which group? Which catalog? Emp and the HR function. Correct. So I'm going to save that to the catalog now. And then we can go back out of there, back into Workspace Utilities and the REST source catalogs. And then we can see we have one service in there. And then this itself is an interactive report. And we can search for, is there anything called emp? Yes, of course, there's one record there called emp. And what's this operation? It's a get operation. We can decide to export that catalog. And I think it wants to ask for a file. Call it like that. That's exporting out. If we just go hit the back button, back a level, and then into the REST source catalogs, we can import it from file. No, now say you want to go from environment to environment, or you've got a catalog of REST services you want to import on another environment or share it, you can definitely do it in this way. Now this says the catalog already exists, no problem. We'll overwrite this and we can see now that has been imported. Has it done it that for sure? Well, we can look at the imported date on there and we can see 11 seconds ago. Yes, that's when I did it. Okay, so that's the catalog feature. I want to go on to the next feature, which is the key one this time, which is the smart filters. So I'm going to create a new page. Let's get back to my application. We'll just go to edit page 1 and then we'll create a page from there. Okay, so just wait 3 seconds for it to load. Yes, and we'll create a page. And this smart filters is a type of report. So if I click on report here, what type of report do I want? A smart filters report. Page 2, let's just call it smart filters. Breadcrumb, that's kind of important because a breadcrumb is a great place to put our smart filter itself. How do I want to access it? Through the navigation entry. This is the navigation here. I want to add something in here. Okay, which table? It's not a table, it's a REST data source. Which one? It's emp. I created that. Now here's the clever bit. So it's saying, do you want me to work out where to put the smart filters? Yeah, I'll just pick them all. Notice none of the numbers can be smart in a way. You can set that up later. So I've created the page now. So here's my report. It's a classic report. It's got to be a classic report. And then we've got some filters. Let's just see how that works. So I'm running the page now, and it's a different type of page now. So although I've got a bar here, when I click it, it says, are you going to enter a last name? All right, let me click it. Well, which one? Is it one of these? Is it Bell? So you can click on Bell and then it filters it in that way. Yeah, so it's kind of predictive what it needs to show you. It's even predictive here where it says perhaps you want an SD clerk as your number one hit. Well, yeah, I do want that one. So you click that one and it filters that one straight away for you. And because the number of records now is low, all the other ones have disappeared. Now you might want to search as well for a name. Maybe there's no Smiths in here. There isn't. So there's no Smiths for a job for that job detail. So you can go back another level and start to use the smart filters again. So you could say, well, it's the last name Smith. There's 3 of those. Or it's the first name John. There's 2 of those. Well, it's not the Smith I was looking for. So you can use like that. Or I can say, yeah, it was Smith. Yeah, go and click it. And then the smart filters disappear. If there was many different results, then they keep around. So that's a really nice feature that you can have there. And of course, you can change the screen how you want. Maybe you want a left side column, and then put the smart filters in that left hand side. Let me just see. Let's see the left column. That might work. We'll see. We'll see if it does. So just refreshing the page there. So every time you refresh the page, it talks to the database and it represents your page with HTML, JavaScript, and this as well. So using my thumb to scroll left and right. So it just gives you an example of a different type of layout that you could use. These little buttons, by the way, are called chips, which I think are very good. And you can say there was 0 chips to make them more less cluttered on the screen. You can change the icon on all of these. You can change the label of all of these. They update immediately when you filter them down. So I think they're a real good feature to have in Apex. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's talk about email. So there's several ways you can send an email. On processing, you can create a process here, and you can say send an email, and you can fill in your details here. Here we have an email template. So rather than send a basic plain text email, you can send it with a template, which is much more readable, and I think what people are expecting to read as well. Okay. Next, you can send it from Apex Mail. That you always could send it through Apex Mail. And now you can send it through an automation as a built-in action. So an automation is a background process which can send information, well, do anything on a scheduled event at a database level. So it can run things every hour, for example. Every hour you could check whether there's any jobs to send an email, and you could send that straight away. Okay, so let's spend a few minutes, not too long, looking at email templates. So an email template is a really good thing, and it's a mix of HTML. So here I'm going to put a template name in, put my header and the body and the footer. Now these can be kind of complex to write, but there are some standard templates. So there's a load order details here, and we'll call it order details. And you can see there's some styling, there's some tags for where your data is supposed to be, all that, and look at the bottom. It gives you the exact code that you need to use to send an email using that template. I'm going to create that email template now. I'm not actually going to send an email in this demonstration, but I will show you the copy button as well. Again, this is brand new. So instead of order details, I'll just call it new customer. There we go. We've copied an email template. So if you're working with lots of email templates, that is a good feature to have, where you can just copy them very, very easy and go back a level, and you can be able to see there's definitely 2 email templates now. Okay, so that was email. Now let's go on to a fun example now. We're going to create a little table for holding addresses, and we're going to have a map on there. So to create a little table, I'm going to use QuickSQL. And in QuickSQL, it's a shorthand way of creating tables. So I'll call it X address details, something like that. Right, how do we do an address? We've got address 1, we've got address 2, we've got city, we've got postcode, county maybe, country. Now I'm going to have something called geolocator, and I'm going to have something called match vector, and I'm going to have something called geo, which is, I call it SDO, geometry. Okay, so in fact, I'll just leave that one off. Match vector will be good. So I've got my address det. So save this. X address. That's fine. It's just a script name. Save it. Run. Well, review and run. And create my table. And you can see I can create an application just based on that script, just based on that table script. So we'll run that now. Assume that's going to work. Yeah, that was successful. So let's go back to our application, because we're going to create a page now. Not only one page, but we're going to create a pair of pages, a form and a report. So let's do a form, report with a form. That's what I want. And we'll call it addresses. That's my report. And of course, I just want to maintain one address. My form. Let's have a modal dialog like this. This is a modal dialog. That's fine. So it should be asking me how I want to access this through navigation. And what's my table? Well, I called it that one. And let's have all these across. Really, really quick. My primary key is my ID column. And that's it. You can see already how fast it is to create an Apex application. And then next, I'll show you how fast it is to create a map region or a map lookup. So let's run the page now. I think this is page 3? Yeah, okay. So I've got no addresses. Let's create an address. That's too big. That is too big. So I'm going to change that. That's page 4. So on page 4, let's make them all really small, which is a text field. Maybe we can space them out a little bit better. Now, the geolocator. The geolocator, I want to the bottom actually, and I want to call it the new geocoded address. I've got display map, I'll show you that next, but I've got geocoded address. Yep. So the minimum is street name and city. No problem. That's street name. Where's city? That's city. United States? No. Item. Do I have country? I did. I remembered to put country on. And I'll use a dynamic action with maybe a search button. That'd be quite nice. Search. Let's have an icon. Why not? Icon position right. And then it's called, I know what it's called, FA search. Hot button. So hot button makes it a theme specific. So how does it look? Nice, nice. So I'm going to see my search button. I'm going to put an address in now. Let's put 54D New Bank Street. Now the country code, I'm going to put UK in, or United Kingdom. That's in Leeds. And then I'm going to search. And it says, hopefully, I didn't hook up my click action. Apologies. So I'm going to create a dynamic action. So when you click that one, the secret is trigger geocoding. Which geocode item? This geocode item. Run the page again. Now, let's just hit the search button, see if it's correct. Yep, country, UK, for D, New Bank Street, and that's in Leeds, United Kingdom. Search. Oh, look, it's geocoding. Right, there is no 54D. However, if I click on 54, it cleanses the address. Not only that, gives you the map. Perfect. Really, really good. The match vector I didn't align up. Let's do that really quick. The match vector just tells you more information about how it determined that address using these 17 points here. You know, if you wanted to, let's refresh. If you wanted to be absolutely certain how matched your address was, then you would use the match vector. So I'd save that. I'll pick and cleanse my address. You can see that's the format there. Great. Hopefully that'll save that in the database. It does save it in the database. So it's the geolocator. It represents the map, but saves it as a GeoJSON object. So if I take that GeoJSON and edit this page 3, well, I'll show you the next item on the page, which is a display map. So create a page item. This should be at the top of the map, at top of the page. I'm going to use a display map. If it starts with a display, it probably means it's read-only, and in this case, it is a read-only. Let's do 300 pixels. Now the source, I can feed it from an item, but I'm just going to feed it this JSON here. In fact, let's just play with the numbers here. 4, I don't know, 2, see what happens. See where in the world that has put the pin in the map. Here we go with our map. So lucky area, where is that? So that's UK. See, I'm having to scroll out. Near Derby. Swadlincote. Cool name. Now, for me, that map's too zoomed in. So I'm going to change the zoom level. Let's say 7. Let's just try that one. See if 7 works. Let's go back and zoom in and out. That's better. That's pretty much where I wanted my zoom level to be. So I'm happy with that. Now I've got this as an interactive map, so you can play with these tools. You can have a tooltip on there. And in fact, tooltip is here. Let's call it Hello WDI, and of course this supports HTML. I'm just going to use the del, which is like a strike through, which tells me HTML has been rendered. A little trick for you there. So if I click, hello WDI, representing it in HTML, so I can have images and all sorts in there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Before I do, I just want to tell you that the map technology is all in the browser. It's not in the database, so you don't have any ACL access issues as well. Right, min and max files in the static file editor. So the static application files are an area where you can upload files into the database and access them through the web browser. Now there's no upload file now, that's on this create file, and you're supposed to drag and drop files here. I'm going to give an example of CSS, so I'll create my file name there, and I'm going to copy from a window you can't see. some CSS, paste it in there. You can see that's very standard CSS. I've saved it. It says saved and minified. And if I go back to the files there, you should see in a second, it's created one file, the min CSS. If I click on that, that's been minified for me. I didn't have to do anything. And I do like this. I think it's going to be very, very useful. Another useful feature is the less compiler. So you may see lots of examples of less code, which is supports variables in CSS, which is not like this, which is not available to be decoded in your web browser. So this is good because if you paste any less in there and go back to the static files, it compiles it and minifies it. So I've got a CSS file there and it's been minified with all the references like this worked out, so you can use it in your application file. And in fact, this is called app files now rather than static files, I think, or app images, what it used to be. And it's properly compiled that. So I think that's a really, really good feature. And it does the same in JavaScript as well. I'm not going to show you the JavaScript, but it does that in JavaScript. Okay, move on to the next feature. I think this is the last feature. Yes, this last feature I want to show you is Progressive Web Apps, or PWAs, which is the ability to install the application native into your operating system. It could be iOS, it could be Android, or it could be Windows. And I'm using Windows here, so let's do it in Windows. So a few things I need to check on my application to enable this feature is, first, I need to find out if something called friendly URLs is activated. So friendly URLs is this format of URLs, which makes PWA apps super secure. So it is enabled. Therefore, I've got progressive web apps. Do I want it enabled? Yes. Do I want it to be installable? Yes. So let's call it the WDI 2022 Progressive Web App by Matt Mulvaney. Okay. The display, I'll leave that alone. You can see what the options are there. Orientation, I'll leave that as any. The theme color, let's have blue, and the background color yellow. Oh, look at that. We've got some Ukraine color scheme there. And I'm going to apply the changes there. And if I run the app, what it's done is it's created another navigation bar entry. This is a navigation bar up here for install my progressive web app. And you can see I've got an install there. I've got install here. If I click install, I've got my label. I've got my icon. I can change that. I can install. And look what's happening now. I'm running my application in native application. And I can navigate around like that. You see it's docked to my bar here. You know, I can try and right click it and pin it to my taskbar. It works exactly the same. You know, look at that. I'm trying to resemble a mobile application given the resolution. You see it's all adjusting and fitting to my screen size. My map is interactive. Look how nice that is. You can add some drawers as well. This is a kind of drawer where it opens from the left-hand side. You can have things open from the left, from the right. If for some reason this navigation menu isn't designed for your mobile device, you can have that. So progressive web apps, you could see how easy that was to install. And now it's native into your application, into your operating system, and you can use all the power of your operating system as well. And you can uninstall it. Yeah, I can uninstall my application here. You can remove it. Great stuff. Really like it a lot. So I think that's the last feature I wanted to show you. Let's just finish with the slides here. So I've showed you very quickly what the new features were in Apex 21.2. There are more features being announced. There's the roadmap, which is announced by Apex, and they keep it up to date very frequently. So there's a built-in data generator. There's workflow, so you can add items into queue and have them navigating around a workflow system and have that managed within Apex. You can see application logic visually. You've got more on reporting, machine learning included in the roadmap. You've got application customizations in runtime, not in Page Designer, but in the runtime itself. Integration with developer lifecycle, improve printing and PDF, expand capabilities with the Apex service, extended support for MySQL. So thank you for that. That was very quick. I was showing you lots of information very, very quickly, but thank you for watching that. And I hope it's inspired you to learn more about Apex and use it and consider it as a business application for low-code development in the future. Feel free to contact me, follow me on Twitter here, or email me on this address, and look forward to answering your questions and looking forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.